Moving on, I had everything locked in and settled and ready to go for tonight's show on Saturday. It'd be a real shame if they announced something right on Monday morning that would really interest at least half the cast here. And there's no way this next slide could ever possibly. Oh my God, look at that. Hours of work into that graphic right there.
Breaking news.
It's actually really good, John. Nice job. This is more work than I put into my image that I made this week.
We'll get to that in a second. So, breaking news, Val, Danny, and then Dickie, take it away. What's going on today? They announced some old world rules.
Look at that. That was fast.
I'm gonna move it. Relax.
Tidy that up a little bit.
So it'd be nice if it was centered, but look, you can't have everything.
The way, and also the way he's solving this problem right now is guaranteeing that the rest of the show is going to look completely fucked up.
All right.
Oh no! Oh, I see what you did. Okay, no, that's good. Okay, I thought he was readjusting the PowerPoint. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. This is huge. Couldn't be bigger. Oh my goodness.
Sequence.
If turn sequences and Danny subphases. Yeah. I mean, this is a big boy game with big boy design concepts.
I love it. The magic phase thrown completely out.
Get out of here.
Well, actually,
to be honest, has always been the most problematic phase in fantasy. So this is probably good for the game. We'll see.
I would suggest that the magic phase even worse, since it's in all 4 phases of the game. So
every phase is a magic phase.
Every phase is a magic phase.
I think and this goes to 40K as well, where you have and I posted in the Old World Facebook group, and we got some good engagement on this point, which is just that even in 40K before they got rid of the psychic phase, when you have a phase that's dedicated to something that not all factions participate in, it means that some factions are just going to get hosed, or it'll be a struggle to balance them correctly in that phase. When you disperse it like this, now you're just going to, hopefully they don't go as far as 40K. It looks like they're going to have magic users who basically will activate abilities and however magic works in the game. Yeah. But at the same time, you can also have, like a general who's got a particularly bushy mustache, and maybe they, go on an initiative test and they get to activate some sort of ability. You can have items that activate various abilities. So it's not like by spreading it out like this, you can have different sources of effects and buffs and things like that.
And we got a preview of an item that does something similar to that, Val. We have the Falcon Horn of Friedman.
Right yeah.
Falcon Horn?
Yeah, the
you gotta grind that up for it to work.
Summons Peter immediately.
Just someone comes over and just makes you feel like
use this magic item.
Excited.
Peter appeals to your table and goes, and walks away.
Nailed it. Yeah, it's good, I guess.
I get that for free every time I hang out with him.
The most it's fine enchanted item of all time.
Yeah, it could be, honestly, it could be really good for like somebody who has like a bloodthirster or something like that. Just making sure they don't get to fly is pretty powerful, especially when you're trying to set up those night charges on those big beasties.
Not just fly, Danny, but fly bracket X special rule.
Yeah. So now we have different fly values.
Which is something they may have just ripped right out of old wet-ass Warhammer's project.
Yeah.
Yeah, fly bracket X was a rule that they used. But we're all over the map here, but it's super sick, and I'm very, very keen.
They used one of my favorite pieces of fantasy artwork in the
trolls.
In the trolls, I love that piece so much. It's so cool. It's so good.
One of the better ones. It's very, 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 very evocative. Gotta love a good troll barf. Look at that whole bone. Look at those whole femurs in that projectile vomit.
From vomit, yeah.
I think it's called a falcon horn. Not just a bone. But quick review on the reveals that came out today. Are you guys excited, underwhelmed, or whelmed?
Fully whelmed. Massively
whelmed.
For me, I've been sort of, I don't know, again, on the Square Base podcast, you probably heard me being naively optimistic about the direction that this rule set's going to go. Just from a perspective of it's been in development longer than really any game that I know of that they have ever made at GW. Like it's what we're coming up on 5 years, I want to say. So it's like whether or not they've been actively working on it for that full period. Just
the
even
first year was choosing the font for the rule book.
I mean, that's very possible, but at the very least, they've been thinking about this for a very long time, and you can see that it's not just a retread of an existing like for example, when they first re-brought out Horus Heresy with the it's not just like a retread of the 8th edition or 6th edition rule set. This is all immediately by breaking down phases like this, by having sub phases, by some of the things that they've tipped away in some of the rules. You can see that they are applying not necessarily obviously, but it is nice to see that they're applying the evolution of rules writing that we've seen at Games Workshop since, in the last 10 years, certainly in the last, almost 15 years since they last wrote a fantasy edition. So
it still feels very fantasy though, right? With some of the trademarks, like you charge at the beginning of the move phase and things like that, right? And they're using the right terminology, like compulsory move, remaining's move. So
yeah.
I like that they bragged about psychology. So things like leadership and panic tests being more complex rather than simplified. They're sort of flexing on this being not overly simplified. And but I mean, at the same time, breaking down phases like this, just some of the hints at like standardizing how rules are written in some of the in the spell and in the enchanted item that they highlight, shows that actually in some ways they are obviously simplifying and streamlining the game by applying some of those good rules writing methods that they've developed and figured out over the last while. So that all bodes tremendously well.
Beautiful. Danny, final thoughts on the old world from today?
Yeah, exciting. I like some of the changes. It'll be interesting to see how rally fleeing troops happening before declare charges changes some of those interactions, which will be pretty significant. And then breaking up the different things into subphases. I really like the modification to leadership, in that if your unit's below 25, it's double ones, and if they're if they're below half, then it's just a -1, which is pretty cool. So it'll be interesting to see kind of some of those interactions. The other thing that I noticed is there's a command range stat for characters based on the Jaff's Enchanted Blades.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it says that there's while in like the Lich Priest's command range, like you get to reroll ones on your units. So we'll see if that means that characters are in units or not in units. This kind of to me says maybe not in units, but we'll see. We'll see exactly how that works. Tomb Kings might just have bubbles, which will be cool. Which is cool too.
Command range is also a key mechanic of War Master, a beloved epic version of Warhammer Fantasy.
I do like War Master,
in which heroes play like a very linchpin, and they are, as Danny just alluded to, they're individual units, so they're outside of units, and they aren't necessarily there as combat pieces, but they're there. Your army literally can't do stuff unless they're within range of a leader, and so that'd be kind of neat if they bring in some of that influence, because it does make, like, what your army can do is very much dependent on whether or not they can respond to the orders that your general gives them.
Yeah.
It's time to step into the grim darkness with nerds gather talking Warhammer madness. Grim After Dark, the podcast with the hosts John, Danny, and Val, but they're not the most. Claiming to be experts, but it's all a facade. Talking about battles and dice rolls, they're all odd. Trying to sound cool with their Warhammer talk, but I'm here to expose it's all just squawk. Nerds, everywhere I see talking Warhammer this, like it's a decree. But let me tell you, homie, it is all just a game in the real world.